It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the meeting of the panel on financial affairs. Item 1 on the agenda. Information papers issued since the last meeting. So members, please note, since our meeting on the 3rd of February this year, this panel has received 2 information papers. The details are set out on the agenda, so that's for members to note. Item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. Members, please note, early last month, I joined the deputy chairperson for a meeting with the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. We discussed the work plan for this session. The list of items for discussion has incorporated the issues proposed by the administration and members, and also the suggested time for discussion. Members, please note. Members, please also note that the administration has suggested removing item 10 on the list of items for discussion, and the reason has been set out in the same document. Now, turning to our regular meeting in April. Our next regular meeting will take place on the 7th of April. That's Monday, 9:30 a.m. The administration suggested 3 items for discussion in our April meeting. 1. Enhancing the competitiveness of the securities market. 2. Development of financial technologies, or fintech, in Hong Kong. And 3. Revised financial arrangement of 6 seed capital funds. So, members, do we all agree that we discuss those 3 items for our April meeting? All good? So let's move on to item 3, budget of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Authority for the financial year of 2025 to 26, and the latest development of the eMPF platform. We first invite the government officials and people from the MPFA to join us. Joining us for this session are Mrs. Aisha Macpherson Lau, Chairman of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Authority, Mr. Wallace Lau, Chief Corporate Affairs Officer and Executive Director, also from the MPFA, and also Ms. Sharon Koh, Deputy Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. We welcome everyone joining us for the meeting. So let's start by inviting Mrs. Lau, the chairperson of the MPFA, to give us a brief overview of the paper. Thank you, Chairman. So I will now brief members on the budget of the MPFA for 2025 to 26 and our highlights for the year. The MPFA has always stuck to fiscal prudence in what we do. Now, we have cut our operating expenditure by 1%. The Financial Secretary announced in his budget for 2025 to 26 moves to control public expenditure. The MPFA will do its part to support this idea. So while maintaining our normal operation, the MPFA will reduce our total expenditure by 2% from the level of last year. Now, for manpower, in 6 out of the last 10 years, we cut positions, and for 3 years, we froze our headcount. In the year to come, we will simply add 6 regular positions and 2 time-limited project posts. That's an increase of 1%. That's mostly to do the work for the eMPF platform and also for cybersecurity. We will leverage artificial intelligence and other technical means, as well as streamline our procedures to cope with the work so that we can achieve more and better results with less. Our expenditure is mainly covered by the annual registration fees from eMPF trustees. The levy was set at a below cost recovery level in 2022. It now covers only 2/3 of the eMPFA's expenditure. In 2026, we will review our ARF. The goal is to recover our costs and get rid of the deficit. Another source of revenue is a one-off capital grant of $5 billion provided by the government in 1998. Also in the revenue is the investment income on that capital grant. That fund will dry up in 10 years' time, but then we've stuck to a prudent investment strategy. Now, many years have passed. We will still have $2 billion left in a few years' time. Now, I turn to the eMPF performance. Last year, the eMPF did fairly well. Net return was at 8.6% last year. As at the end of January this year, the total net asset value was above $1.3 trillion. Now, for 80% of the total NAF, we had equity funds and mixed asset funds. The average net returns for these two areas were at a reasonable level. As for DIS, the core accumulation fund saw an average net return of 11.2%. Now I want to discuss the eMPF platform. eMPF was launched last June. 5 trustees and 6 MPF schemes are now on the eMPF platform. The system has been working well. We looked at our experience from last year and also user feedback. We have introduced a range of enhancement measures. The contractor will double its manpower to enhance service quality. Across districts in Hong Kong, there will be support measures so that support is available everywhere. There will be outreach to users so that swifter services can be delivered. The NPFA and the eMPF platform will monitor closely the contractor's performance to ensure smooth and safe and user-friendly operation. By the end of this year, more NPF trustees will join the eMPF platform. As for other areas of work, those have to do with scheme members, including expanding the scope of eligible schemes and also work on the default investment strategy, as well as work on consulting the public about the NPF portability proposal. We will continue to work with the industry to drive down the fees so that NPF schemes are good value for money. And we will also help people who are owed their NPF contributions to help recover those outstanding contributions. That's all from me, and I welcome questions from members. Now, I open the floor for questions from members, 4 minutes for each member. Mr. Lam Chun Sing, Dr. Wendy Hong, Ms. Carmen Khan, Mr. Sunny Tan, Dr. So Chun Wing, Dr. Tanya He, Mr. Ronick Chan, Mr. Tang Fei, Dr. Starry Lee, Mr. Chen Kin-po, Mr. Edwin Wong. Mr. Lam Chun Sing. Thank you, Chairman. I'm a non-executive director of the NPFA. Now for the eMPF platform, the chairperson of the NPFA has been working with her team to ensure the timely launch of the platform. Now, there are some questions about this platform. Some trustees are already on this platform. As for employees signing up for the platform, the uptake is on the low side, maybe 20%. Are there ways to get more employees to sign up for the eMPF platform so that they can create an account and use the platform? Are there incentives for them to do it? Now, will the government deliver on it what it said some years ago, meaning the government making the contribution on behalf of those low-income employees so that more grassroots workers can be on this platform? Would there be a goal, say, after the platforms launch, maybe you can aim for 50% of uptake among employees and then 70% for the second year. Can you set such a goal? Now, for casual laborers, say people in the catering industry, those people work at a different restaurant every day. They join industry-wide schemes. The contribution comes on a daily basis. Not every worker has IM Smart. They may struggle to register for eMPF platform. Their employers may be making the eMPF contributions with cash. So, for such casual workers, what steps can the government take so that those workers can join the eMPF platform? We put in so much work to launch the eMPF platform to drive down the administration fees. The government projected that in the next 10 years, $30 to $40 billion in savings can be expected. The administration fees for MPF schemes, it was 2.1% in 2007. Now it's at 1.3%. Now, when the eMPF platform is fully adopted, is the government or the MPF authority confident that the administration fee can go below 1%? So, and as for the DIMS, can we also lower the cap for the DIS? So 3 questions for the MPFA. I thank Mr. Lam for his questions. Mr. Lam gave us valuable advice in his capacity as a non-executive director. So now I turn to the members' questions. Workers registering on the eMPF platform. This is certainly our goal. We put in so much attention, we put in the resources to launch this platform. We want workers to sign up on this eMPF platform. We want to make the platform accessible and user-friendly. We also need publicity. On that, Mr. Wallace Lau can tell us more in a moment. Now, our goal. We do have a goal, the digital uptake. We do have a goal for this. We have a goal with the contractor. Within 1 year after the platform's launch, we want the digital uptake to be at 50%. In 5 years' time, we want to reach 90%. Can I go on? Please be brief. I also thank Mr. Lam for raising the point about the industry-wide schemes for construction workers and catering workers. Now, for these industry schemes, they're different from the general schemes currently on the eMPF platform. There are administrative differences. Cash contributions are common in industry schemes. Payments are made on a daily basis. The employer can pay on the day or 10 days later. So we have to help those workers migrate to the eMPF platform. So publicity and support will be needed, and more effort is needed on these 2 fronts. We're planning different support services. We want to make sure that we're ready before we put the IS or industry scheme on eMPF, and we are confident about the fees. After the platform is fully adopted, we are confident about getting fees to fall. In 10 years' time, our goal is to reduce it by 41 to 55%. So let's stop here. We're out of time, and many members are waiting to speak, so maybe you have to wait for the second round. Dr. Wendy Hong.
I have 1 macro questions and 2 specific questions. First, MPF schemes have been here for some 20 years, and the employees have accumulated some 1.3 trillion in their accounts. This is an important source of retirement fund for the people. So I think that it was an important step some 25 years ago to have been taken, but housing is the major expenditure of elderly. If people have a flat to live in, that will make their life easier post-retirement. Some people have been asking the government to allow people to use their eMPF for purchasing a flat, but this proposal has not been adopted. eMPF was established for people to save up for retirement. We cannot use it randomly. I agree with that. But I think that we should allow people to borrow from their eMPF fund to purchase a flat, and they have to return it afterwards. After borrowing the down payment, they have to make repayment back to their eMPF account. So the fund accumulated in their accounts will not drop after they're retired. I know that this suggestion is not related to the topic in discussion today, and it has to do with the amendment of the MPFO. But as the chairperson of the MPFAs is here, I'd like to raise the suggestions. I've actually submitted this proposal to the MPFA. Hopefully, the MPF schemes can serve the two functions of savings and property purchase. Second, the government said that each departments and statutory authorities have to drop their expenditure by 2%, and cumulatively they have to cut their expenditure by 7%, and all of the civil servants have to take a pay freeze. I wonder if the staff of the MPFA will have also their pay freeze frozen as well. Some of the larger trustees are already on board on the eMPF platform. There should be a lot of inquiries coming from the public, and the government should step up the publicity. But according to the paper, the expenditure on engagement, publicity, and education will drop by 46.8%. That's a drop of $6.52 million. 3 questions. Thank you for a suggestion on how we can use the MPF to help employees pay their down payment for property. Well, we have come across similar suggestions in the community, but when we look into this proposal, we must remember that the functions of MPF is to help employees save up for retirement. So any proposal to amend the MPF schemes should not undermine the functions of saving of the scheme. You suggest allowing the employees to borrow from their fund and repay it afterwards. But before their employees return their fund, the balance is lower, and that definitely lower the cumulative effect of the investment return. Also, we have to look into the details. What if people are unable to repay the fund that they have borrowed? I think that we should look into it only after we have a consensus in the community about this. Second, on our finances, as I've said in my opening remarks, last year our total expenditures dropped by 1%. This year, echoing the proposal set out in the budget delivered by the Financial Secretary to cut expenditure, we will, in 2025-26 financial year, cut our expenditure by 2%. And in our estimates, we have not set aside any budget for salary adjustment among our staff, and that is widely supported by our workers, employees. Well, due to limited time, please reserve some time for the administration to give the reply. As there are still a lot of members waiting to speak for the remaining questions, please address them in the second round, perhaps. Next, Ms. Carmen Khan. Thank you, Chairman. We're in phase 2 of the eMPF platform establishment, and it is said that there are some 460,000 members who have signed up for the eMPF platform, accounting for 3% of the total asset under management. By the end of this year, I believe that most of the employees will be on board. In another bills committee, when we scrutinized the bill on safeguarding critical infrastructures and computer systems, we discussed whether the eMPF platform will be designated as a critical computer system. Whether or not it will be designated is a matter for the future. But I thank the chairman of the NPFA and the senior management for coming here. eMPF platform is a subsidiary company wholly owned by the NPFA. They have to meet public expectations. So I'd like to talk about the contractor's duties, that is the PCCW. Second, on the budgeted expenditure. If we look at the revised budget of 2024-25, it seems that the percentage cannot amount to 2%. If we use the approved budget, the cut may amount to 2%, but if we look at the revised estimates, the percentage is not 2%. I know that you need to, say, ensure cybersecurity, you need to hire more staff. So can you talk about whether it's necessary for us to increase in manpower within the NPFA? Thank you. For the two questions, first is about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the major focuses of the eMPF platform. I'd like to ask this CEO of the eMPF Platform Company Limited to talk about their cybersecurity. Thank you. Members, good morning. Now, in terms of cybersecurity, from the design and tendering of the eMPF platform, we attach a lot of importance to cybersecurity. So we have been working with the OGO and the DPO. We used the international standards to design our system. After the design, we engaged a third-party cybersecurity consultant to assess the design before we build it. And after the system has been built, we also engage in an independent assessment before we put it into operation. And we conduct risk assessment and audit regularly. Apart from internal assessment, we hire consulting firm to attack our website directly. We also have backup, encryption, backup systems, so that when our main systems is under attack, we can invoke our backup system. Please wait for the next round if you have more questions. Next, Mr. Sunny Tan. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to talk about the digital uptake of the NPFA. It is said that the NPFA have been looking into digital uptake strategies and engage consultants to formulate the strategies. I'd like to ask about the progress. What is the strategy on your digital uptake? And the business version of the IM Smart is about to come into operation. I wonder how we can link the eMPF platform to that. Second, we talked about popularization of the platform to cover, say, 90% of the population or employees in 5 years. How can we achieve this goal in a shorter time? Thank you. 2 questions. Thank you, Mr. Tang, for the 2 questions. I will answer the second question first. Our goal is 90%. Some other members and youth ask us to look into incentives. We are considering them, and we will make a report in due course. On our digital uptake strategy and our linkage to the IM Smart, I will ask our managing director to take the question. Thank you. On the digital uptake strategy, we have actually set aside a budget to engage a consultant to look into it. We are not only going for digitalization with this strategy. We are actually already trying to digitalize some of the process. Our office is already very modernized. In our work processes, we have already used a lot of INT and supervisory registration and other businesses that we engage in. As you all know, we use AI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek also. However, we're just starting to use them. And we are looking into how we can use these tools to streamline and expedite our work processes. In the coming financial year, we try to engage consultants to look into our digital uptake strategy to see how we can further leverage on AI and other tools to enhance efficiency, streamline procedures, and save manpower. Thank you. I am smart. The eMPF platform includes the functions of I am smart. When employees sign up for the eMPF platform, they can either choose to link to their account in I am smart, or they can use eKYC. A lot of people actually use I am smart because they already have an account with I am smart. So employees can either choose the eKYC that we develop, or they can use their I am smart account. As far as I understand, there are over 3 million people who have signed up for I am smart. For employees who have an I am smart account, it will be easier for them to sign up for an account in eMPF platform. Next, Dr. So Chan-Wink, Deputy Chairman. Thank you. In your budget, you said that you will cut your expenditure by 2%. And just now, Dr. Wendy Hong asked a question which you did not address. That is whether you will freeze your staff pay. But it's according to the paper, it seems that you have not adjusted the salary for your staff, so it means probably that you will ask your staff to take a pay freeze. I respect that. MPFA will be facing challenges in this year because, my apologies. Your headphone is making sound. The eMPF platform will be fully commissioned this year. So my question is, how do you strike a balance between the expenditure cut and the new workload that have to be shouldered by your employees. I don't want to see any further glitches in the eMPF platform because previously during the COVID, there was delay. So that's my question for the MPFA. Thank you. MPFA, please. Thank you, Dr. So, for the question. I thank you for your support. You are correct. 2025 poses a huge challenge to our company. There are a lot of work to be undertaken. In December this year, it's our 25th anniversary of the MPF schemes. And as you've mentioned, the eMPF platform will be fully commissioned. But at the same time, we have to review the introduction of the full MPF portability, and we have to conduct public engagement on that. So how do we handle all these new tasks while cutting our expenditure? Well, we will use AI and technology alike, as well as consolidating internal resources while streamlining procedures to make sure that our work is efficient enough to cater to our new workload. Or, as I mentioned, we strive to do more with less resources. Thank you.
No follow-up. Dr. Tan Yueheng. Thank you, Chairman. I have some questions about the policy. First, it's about patient capital and long-term investment. Our country and Hong Kong are considering long-term investment. Now, with the eMPF, it's $1.3 trillion. It's a large pool of long-term capital. The mainland is also looking at its pension, and they're trying to invest more of the pension part from the mainland in Hong Kong stock market because that will be good for strengthening Hong Kong's capital market. As we get the mainland's long-term capital to mainland, we're also looking at whether we can invest more of our own exchange fund in Hong Kong stock market. All that is about strengthening the foundation of Hong Kong's capital market. Now, the eMPF is a form of long-term capital. So we should be investing mainly in the local market. That's not to say we rule out investing in overseas out-of-town markets with the money from the eMPF. But the point is to strengthen Hong Kong's capital market with long-term capital. That's something the eMPFA should think about, and I want to find out more from the eMPFA about what they think about this. Now I turn to the default investment strategy. The DIS is a good idea. In 2024, the return rate was 9.3%. On the high side, that shows the DIS made sense. Now, most people in the eMPF scheme are not financial professionals. They work in other areas. They don't have the acumen for investment. They don't appreciate the importance of the DIS. So since DIS is great, how do we let more people know the DIS? People may get a better result, investment in returns, meaning through the DIS. So how do we enable the DIS to make a greater difference? So 2 questions from Dr. Tan. I thank Dr. Tan for his 2 questions. First, the eMPF as a large part of long-term capital, how that can take part in Hong Kong's capital market, and also whether the mainland's pension pot can invest in Hong Kong. Now, first, about the local capital market. The eMPF is about retirement protection for workers. So we want to diversify the investment risks. So in our design for the eMPF, we encourage investment in different markets, in different kinds of assets. And that includes local and non-local equities and assets. So I want to share some figures. Now, for investment in the local markets, different assets, out of the $1.3 trillion, it's 40% in local assets. That's a large share, 40%. 60% of that money invests in non-local markets. We welcome any investment from the mainland's pension pot in Hong Kong's market. There are stringent regulations about the investment of the funds. We have to diversify the investment, so that's a great investment for pension pots when they're looking to invest. Now, I want to quickly comment on the DIS. I thank Dr. Tan for raising that point. The DIS is a great idea. Some workers may not have the time for making investment choices, or they don't know enough to make the choices, so they can opt for the DIS. The DIS has been very popular since its inception. Now, for every 10 eMPF schemes, 3 such schemes invest in the funds under the DIS. There are roughly 3.5 million eMPF accounts, up 6% from last year. The DIS, being such a great scheme, should be promoted to more people, so we will step up publicity and public education. We want more workers to know about the DIS. It's not a default option. You can choose the DIS. That's also a good option. Mr. Ronnick Chen. Thank you, Chairman. Now I've looked at the budget. The NPFA has come up with a rather measured budget, so I support it. Now, 220,000 applications have been processed, but 600 complaints have come in. With more members on eMPF, I think there will be more complaints. The contractor will be doubling its manpower. So, given the possibly many complaints to come, have we considered the possible rise in complaints by doubling the manpower? Now, Mr. Lam Chen-sing asked about catering and construction workers. Now, there were 110,000 such accounts. I heard publicity and public education, but I haven't heard any timeline or goal. You may not be cover everyone in 3 or 5 years, but what about 8 or 10 years? Can you give us a goal, a timeline, when you can cover everyone with eMPF? Now, another question. I put this question last year as well. It's about the investment income from the capital grant. There was huge, wild swings. It ranged between $66 million and $100 million. But next year, it will fall to $58 million. And Mr. Chang told us half of that will be invested by investment managers. So I asked, why not put the $2 billion in the exchange fund the exchange fund gives you steady returns, and that way you won't see the wild swings with the investment income. Last year you promised a study, so please hurry up. Those are my 3 questions. First of all, I thank Mr. Chen for his support for our budget. First, about the possible rise in complaints. We have covered 220,000 instructions. We have received 600 complaints. So the complaints are on the low side because they make up 0.28% of all such instructions. With our experience over the past few months, we believe the share of complaints in percentage terms will actually fall. We're confident about that. Now, about the manpower, the contractor will redouble its manpower. On whether resources will go specifically into handling inquiries, there will certainly be manpower to address inquiries. Most of the resources will go to that area because the frontline work matters. Now, the industry schemes. Employers and employees have told us in the catering and construction industries, we have been told to get the preparations right. We want to help those workers and employers familiarize themselves with the platform before we migrate them to the scheme. For industry schemes, we need to make greater allowances in terms of time for the preparations. Our goal is to migrate industry schemes to eMPF by the end of this year. On the 3rd question, I thank Mr. Chen for raising this question. We're not just studying the matter. We have been following up on the point. Our CEO can tell us more about that. Please be brief. Last year, Mr. Chen made that suggestion. We acted on that. So we worked with the HKMA about this idea. So apparently, we don't meet the conditions. Our pot of money is too small, and we constantly have to allow people to withdraw the money. We have to withdraw the money to meet expenses. And since we don't meet the conditions, the HKMA does not allow us to invest in the exchange fund. As for the returns from the pot of money managed by our investment managers, this year we expect $100 million in investment return. That's a return rate of 8%. I think that rate of return is better than that of the exchange fund. Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you, Chairman. I'm grateful to the NPFA for their work. Now, we are dropping the abolition, we're dropping the offsetting mechanism, and now we're also getting eMPF. Now, full portability will also come so that employees can invest the employer's contribution in a fund of their choice. More choices is good, but financial literacy needs to keep up. Let's look at some data. There are more than 400 MPF schemes on the market, and that's an overwhelming array of choices. Grassroots workers struggle. I think even middle-class workers, even people in the education sector may struggle to choose. Public or government schools get the CSPF, but then direct subsidy scheme schools are still following MPF. I think we are doing a good job with financial literacy. Even primary and secondary students are getting such education. Of course, we should start young with the financial literacy, but given that full portability of MPF is on the horizon, can we also have targeted financial literacy education to come with that? It's 400 eMPF schemes. It's an overwhelming range of choices. Now, given the high interest rate, the high prime rate level, people may wonder about stock market crashes, and some middle-class people have switched to U.S. equity-based eMPF schemes or funds. So, can we provide eMPF-related financial literacy education? Now, on social media, I've seen something making the rounds. Some people are telling people about how you migrate to eMPF. Now, telecom scams are rampant. Cyber scams are rampant. You may see a website that appears legit, but those are really scam sites. So we have to do something to help people guard against cyber scams. Scammers may promote a bogus website, and then people unsuspecting may move their money to those scam sites. So that may be something that warrants attention, scam protection, that is.
Thank you, Mr. Tang, for the two suggestions. First, we have 379 funds available. It's great that we have a wide range of choices so that members can choose and make an informed decision. They need a diversified range of products to choose from. But you said that there could be too many choices, and some members think that they are not they don't know really how to make a decision. So in 2017, we introduced this default investment strategy, DIS. This strategy is for employees who don't know how to choose a fund or don't have time to look into the funds to make a decision. The DIS is designed by an investor, by a manager, and it covered different asset classes, and it invests in markets across the world. And the investment return is not bad over the years. So we will step up our publicity and promotion on this strategy. You said that you noticed publicity and promotion on migration to eMPF platform. We welcome well-intended promotion, and we thank you for your reminder that some people may use this new financial infrastructure to scam people. The eMPF company and the MPFA monitor this regularly. If we uncover any scams, we take action immediately together with the police to combat such activities. Thank you. Next, Mr. Edmund Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to commend the MPFA for trying to keep their total expenditure in FY 2025-26 to $620 million. That's a drop of 2% from last year. And the pay adjustment is rather mild as well. On the member education and engagement expenditure, it dropped from $14 million to $7.4 million. If we can achieve the same outcome with less, then it would be the best. But would it affect the public education efforts of the MPFA given the drop in their expenditure? Can you tell us about the content of your publicity campaign? Also, on the one-off project grant, it rose to some $28 million. It is said that it is used for organizing international conferences and activities and to look into eMPF strategies. Can you talk about the breakdown of such expenditure item? What about the digital uptake strategy? Can the digitalization help us save on manpower? Also, I'd like to ask about investment projects. The government said last year that they will set aside a certain percentage of the infrastructure bonds to the eMPF for members to invest in. So how many percentage of the infrastructure bond will be accorded to the eMPF for members' investment? Thank you. Thank you for support. I'd like to clarify one point. You said that you noticed that our salary adjustment is mild. Well, actually, in our proposed budget, we have not set aside any budget for salary adjustment. We're not going to adjust it. Your first and second question have to do with publicity and education. Now, I'd like to ask our managing director to, our chief corporate affairs officer to make a response. Thank you. On publicity and education, we work with the trustees and trade unions or local organizations. So although the expenditures dropped, we are not going to cut down on our efforts. We try to collaborate with more organizations. Now, on the point about infrastructure bonds, we've been working with the Hong Kong MA to establish a mechanism. When the government is trying to issue infrastructure bonds, they will leverage on the mechanism to accord some percentage of the infrastructure bond for eMPF. Chairman, on the point about digitalization, I've answered this question previously. Mr. Wong, for the digital uptake, we're talking about eMPF. Well, eMPF platform itself is a big digital infrastructure project, but within eMPF, we are also trying to go digital. Regarding the study on digital strategy, we're trying to look into how we can further digitalize our work processes. With the technological advancement, we think that it's necessary for us to look into our strategy holistically. We already have automation within our authority. We are already using ChatGPT, AGI to help with our daily work. The goal is to allow us to make best use of technology to streamline work processes. In order to do more with less resources, or the same level of resources. Thank you. After Mr. Chan Kim-por has spoken, I will draw the line. Mr. Chan Kim-por. Thank you. I think the eMPF for talking to us before the meeting, so I've put some of the questions before it. So I see that people are now changing their views about the eMPF schemes. I know that the return is some 4.4% on equity. Netting out the expenditure cut, I don't think a lot of funds achieve such return in Hong Kong. So I think that you need to tell the people this. This also shows why there are so many voluntary contributions made by the members. I think that now 15 to 20% of the contributions are voluntary. If the system is not good, there wouldn't be so many volunteer contributions made by the people. So I think that you need to tell people about the great return offered by the DSI, that is some 8 to 9%. That's my first point. Second, I'm also concerned about the eMPF platform, because by having the platform, we can lower the administration costs and help us go digital. Because previously, some 2/3 of the transactions are paper-based. Now, only 1/3 of it is paper-based. So there is great progress made. If the platform is efficient, then the administration costs can definitely be lowered. And that's a great thing for the employers and employees. So I hope that the NPFA will tell us more about how you make the preparation in the second half of the year, because by then 50 to 60% of the members would sign up, because the larger trustees will be on board by then. Can you tell us how you make sure that there will not be any glitches in the second half of the year when larger trustees are on board? Thank you. Thank you for your recognition. First, you said that we should step up publicity on our long-term investment return. We definitely agree that we should. Equity funds that account for 80%, and the mixed asset funds, which account also for around 80% of the net annual net asset value. The recorded average net returns of equity fund is 4.4%. For a mixed assets fund, the return is 4%. The inflation rate of the same period is 1.8%. So the return of these funds greatly outpace that of the inflation rate. So it shows that over the long term, the NPF schemes help employees save up for their retirement. On eMPF platform, one of the goals is very clear, which is to go digital. Only by digitalization can we make our work more efficient and lower the administration costs. And that would benefit the scheme members. We're confident that the eMPF platform will bring a systemic change so that we can go from paper-based transactions to paperless transactions. Our goal is to achieve 90% of paperless transactions in 10 years' time. Publicity is also important. Within this year, all trustees will be migrated to the platform. We thank the trustees for working with us. Strong Chatters, the eMPF company, and the MPFA, together with the trustees, have dedicated much resources on the migration. So with the collaborative efforts of all parties, we are confident that within this year, all trustees will be able to be migrated to the platform.
Dr. Starry Lee, Chairman, my apologies. I was running from another panel meeting, so now I want to recognize the work done by the NPFA. There are some major projects such as eMPF. The platform was launched, and now we're moving trustees to the platform. Given the heavy workload, the NPFA controlled its expenses, and that's broadly in line with community expectations. This is no mean feat. And I hope that won't affect, and indeed it hasn't affected, the launch of eMPF. So I thank the NPFA and its staff for the work. Now, on going digital and launching the platform, in this case, much data is involved. The eMPF is dealing with the data of all employees of Hong Kong. So you have data on everyone in the city. Electrical is now scrutinizing the bill of protecting the computer systems of critical infrastructures. The eMPF has engaged consultants and stakeholders for this platform. So as a matter of data security, as we know, the holistic approach to national security covers data security. Now, since the eMPF is sitting on such a huge trove of data, I don't know, maybe the eMPF is part of the critical infrastructure operators. So I wonder what steps the eMPF is taking to protect data security and also support our country's drive in national security. After all, you're dealing with the huge trove of data. Thank you. I thank Dr. Li for recognizing the work of the eMPF and also thank her for her support for our budget. Now, her question is about data security. Data security and cybersecurity are priorities for eMPF. So our team has designed a range of security measures. For details, the CEO of the eMPF platform company can tell us more, Mr. Eric Low. Can we switch on the microphone for Mr. Eric Low, please? We have been working with the Digital Policy Office and the Privacy Commissioner. Now, we are aware of the proposal about protecting the computer systems of critical infrastructures. The government has yet to announce the list or design the list, but we are working with this principle in mind. We have been keeping an eye on global developments. If we have to step up in certain areas, we will act right away. eMPF has been running. It has moved past the design stage. So we take this matter very seriously. We already have a mechanism where we work with departments. This is a matter of utmost importance. So please give some thought to this, especially given the requirements about critical infrastructures and national security. You are sitting on a huge trove of data after all. The government has a history of data leaks, so I do worry. So please treat this matter very seriously. Thank you. We will do that. Mr. Duncan Chiu. My first question is, does the eMPF regularly review the scope of investment of the eMPF funds, such as the kinds of financial products they invest in? Financial innovation is going on. Web3, digital assets, cryptocurrency-based ETFs, tokenized bonds. So I wonder if the eMPF funds can invest in those assets. Can we at least tell those funds, people managing those funds, that they have those options out there? Some members have commented on eMPF. They have expressed concern because more trustees will be on board in the second half of this year. I know that the contractor will double its manpower. Will that be enough? We can see major challenges down the road given the platform. I believe there will be an SLA. The products involved may also change. So apart from doubling manpower, can we also explore other options? Is the contractor using the latest AI product so that the migration will be smoother? eMPF, please. Thank you. First, eligible investments. the eMPF has been constantly reviewing eligible investment products so that members of eMPF schemes can invest bearing in mind the risks and returns. We have considered crypto assets. But then at this stage, crypto assets are high-risk products compared with other products. We do have concerns about transparency, wild swings in prices, risks with liquidity, security platforms. It's still early days in terms of the regulation for crypto assets. We need more time to watch how this space develops, and then we can decide whether cryptos are suitable investment for retirement protection. But we will keep an eye on this. Now, on tokenized assets, eMPF funds can invest in the tokenized bonds issued by the HKSL government because that's a form of government bonds. Now, on eMPF, more MPF trustees, schemes, and members will migrate to the platform. This year, the contractor will at least double its manpower. So that's part of the plan. The migration goes, or rather starts with the smaller trustees, and then we will come to the larger trustees. So the contractor has already expected that more and larger trustees will migrate, so they have taken this into account in doubling their manpower. More manpower aside, we will also see to it that the contractor will adopt AI, so that's on top of extra manpower. Dr. Johnny thank you. I applaud the eMPF for the hard work they put in and the results they can show us. Now I have some questions about the finances. I'm looking at the deficit, more than $80 million. That's an improvement. The projection was more than $100 million. Still, we are getting a larger deficit than last year. So do we expect this deficit to go on, or will the deficit be gone? Meaning, do we expect to balance the books at some point? So are there ways to boost the revenue? You have already achieved savings, and you are also cutting 2% of the expenditure. You're not giving a pay rise. That's all good, but we have to boost the revenue. Dr. Starrelly also asked about security. That's also top of mind for me. Every week, something goes wrong about data. We don't want to see the eMPF or eMPF falling victim to data leaks. So please invest in cybersecurity to make sure nothing goes wrong. Mr. Duncan Chiu asked about crypto assets. The chairperson gave us a response about transparency risks and other risks. I agree. But then, can we give eMPF members the option? Retirees may not want to invest in cryptos, but younger people may want this option. So can we make crypto assets an option for people? eMPF, I thank Dr. for praising our work. Now, on crypto assets, I thank him for his suggestion. We will continue to look at the space. I think the members was referring to the voluntary contribution. Can we allow people to invest in crypto assets for their voluntary contributions? Now we can look at that. On the eMPF's finances, the CEO can tell us more about that. Now, the deficit. Our deficit has been shrinking. we started charging the annual registration fee in 2020. The eMPFA had not started charging the ARF until 2020, and even in 2020, we were only charging 0.03% per annum. The law actually allows us to levy an NRF at a level that covers the costs. But we decided to hold back. We're only charging at a level that covered part of the cost. We should be charging 0.05 or 0.06% instead, but we decided to charge at 0.03%. But then we decided to review it in 6 years' time, and then starting from the 7th year, we will be charging the full cost recovery level. Next year, 2026, we will hit the 6-year mark, so a review will come next year. The goal for that review will be full cost recovery. So when can we get rid of the deficit? I think after 2026 to 27, if we can do full cost recovery with the ARF, then I expect that the deficit will be gone for the eMPFA. No follow-up questions? Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Thank you, Chairman. The eMPFA acted on comments about high administration fees and low returns. And then the figures came out. The returns were assuring. Now, some eMPF trustees are already on eMPF. There is feedback. I want to see how the eMPFA has been addressing the feedback. In some cases, the employers and employees found problems with the platform. The eMPF trustees said things were out of their hands after eMPF took over, and then eMPF company looked into this. They found nothing. So people apparently were passing the buck. So when administrative or other problems come up, something goes wrong. Will we have a mechanism to deal with these issues? Now, the platform won't be operating across the board until the end of this year, and then for Manulife, HSBC, they won't be joining until the 4th quarter of this year. So most people will be using eMPF only in the 4th quarter. And that's when the real test will come. So we should step up publicity. I asked people, many people wondered how the eMPF platform works and what they should do when things go wrong. So I want to find out more from the eMPFA about the points I raised. So what will you do, and how have you been addressing the feedback from the trustees already on eMPF? It's not just about comments from members, but also from the public. We take the comments from all stakeholders seriously. We do follow up on the feedback. Now, on the questions about eMPF, over the past few months, some people told us about problems about eMPF. We've handled 220,000 instructions, 600 complaints. So in percentage terms, it's 0.28%. Complaints made up 0.28% of all the instructions. We deal with complaints promptly. Whenever we get a complaint, the eMPF company urges the contractor to deal with the complaint swiftly. When a complaint comes in, the eMPF company has to report the matter to the MPFA. There's a dedicated team in the MPFA to keep an eye on these complaints. We want swift resolution of the complaint. The contractor will double its manpower. More resources will go into addressing users' inquiries, so that will mean greater efficiency and better quality. Publicity also matters. So, can I get our Chief Corporate Affairs Officer to tell us more about the publicity? Please be brief. So this year, there will be full adoption of eMPF. So our publicity will be comprehensive. We will work with different stakeholders, businesses, trade unions, other stakeholders in the community. All of them will be covered in the publicity.
Last is my turn. Members are concerned about the security of the system because it contains data of businesses and employees. And members are also concerned about the financial sustainability of the scheme, as well as flexibility and investment options. Members also suggest allowing people to use their fund to purchase a property. We're also concerned about the operation of the eMPF platform. The market goes up and down. The most important thing is to achieve an investment return that is higher than inflation. I recognize the MPFA's efforts in this area. We need to diversify our investment to achieve a stable return. I know that there are 379 funds, 210 eligible index tracing funds. Apart from these products, the government is also issuing bonds. How do we increase the investment options for members so that they can enrich the portfolio? Second, there are products that track indexes or asset values. The administration cost of these products are higher, however. So I wonder if the MPFA try to enhance the efficiency of your work or diversify your products. Thank you. The MPFA understands that the members want more investment options, so we balance risk and investment return. We have been reviewing the investment options that we have to offer more quality products. We have put in place a number of enhancement measures in 2022. We allow members to invest in bonds issued by the People's Bank of China, and we allow members to invest in new products such as A-shares, funds, and ESG funds. We have also been working with the Hong Kong MA to establish a mechanism to allow the members to invest in green bonds issued by the government. We have designed a mechanism together with the Hong Kong MA so that when government issue infrastructure bonds, a certain percentage of it will be accorded to the MPFA for members' investment. Now, REIT can allow members to diversify their investment and provide a stable return. Last year, we have completed a review. Our plan is that to allow the members to invest in REIT listed in Shanghai and Shenzhen Stock Exchange, we also cancel the ceiling for investing in REITs offered in Singapore, Japan, France, Canada, and New Zealand or Netherlands. We are implementing the details. We are trying to include a private equity fund into our investment options. So much about the investment. Second, Chairman, you talked about tracking funds that are available on the market. That is CIS. The administration costs is lower with these products. We have been encouraging members to invest in these products because that will diversify their portfolio and lower the fees that they have to pay. Thank you. Thank you, MPFA. That concludes this item. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, budget of the Insurance Authority for the financial year of 2025-26. Would the administration and the representatives of the Insurance Authority please come into the room?
Okay. 好，參加呢部分。
We have with us Mr. Stephen Yu, Chairman of the Insurance Authority, Mr. Clement Chen, Chief Executive Officer of the IA, Mr. Ryan Chiu, Director of the Corporate Services IA, as well as Mr. Christopher Lau, the Secretary of the IA. And we have Ms. Sharon Koh, Deputy Secretary of the FSTB with us. First of all, welcome representatives from the FSTB and the IA for attending this meeting. Now, may I invite Mr. Stephen Yu, Chairman of the IA, to give us a brief presentation. Thank you. Thank you, members. Insurance Authority's statutory functions is to stabilize the market and protect the insurance intermediaries and enhance their competitiveness globally. Now, I will give an overview of the performance of the 2024-25, and I will talk about our way forward. We adopt a risk-based approach, and that is widely supported by the Legislative Council. And in terms of protection for policyholders, we have been enhancing training for insurance intermediaries to make sure that they comply with the regulations. And we have conducted a joint operation with ICAC to combat mis-selling of insurance policies to mainland residents. Last year, we issued insurance-linked products last year, which amount to 6 now. The total amount of investment is some $748 million. This shows the role that we play. Now, in terms of insurance technology, together with the ASTRI, we have established a platform to allow companies to design the products better. The report will be published in due course. We have also introduced a cyber reliance framework. We will roll out 8 measures. First, we encourage the industry to offer innovative retirement products to allow residents who plan to retire in the Greater Bay Area more options. Second, we enhance the sharing or dividend sharing framework so that consumers can be well protected. Third, we will review the risk-based capital approach, that is the risk-based capital regime. And we have been conducting public engagement or consultation on the third pillar. Fourth, we will set out a scope on the review of the medical insurance coverage. Fifth, we encourage mainland companies to set up captive insurance companies in Hong Kong. Next, we will work with the government to encourage companies to redomicile to Hong Kong, and we will also organize an international conference for the insurance industry, so that international companies can experience for themselves what Hong Kong is like. Lastly, the income of the IA for 2025-26 is about $568.4 million. Our reserve is about $475.4 million. Our operating expenditure is some $646.7 million. We will deploy our resources prudently to control expenditure vigorously. Thank you. Now is the time for question and answer. Ms. Carmen Khan, Mr. Chan Chen-ying, Mr. Chen Kim-por, and Mr. Rock Shan. First, Ms. Carmen Khan. Thank you. I'd like to ask about the overall expenditure. It is said that comparing to the revised estimate of 2024-25, $500 million, there is an increase of $77.5 million. Now, we're asked to cut expenditure. The government is planning to cut their expenditure by 2%. I wonder what the IA's take on this is. Given the increased workload, are you going to cut your expenditure? Now, on staff costs. Last year, it was said that you have an establishment of 360. Now you have 380 staff members. I wonder what the new recruits do. That's my first question on staff cost. Second, I support the increase in IT expenses. And I think that your system upgrade is too slow. The system was commissioned in 1990s. You said that you spent $380.7 million on IT expenses. I definitely support that. When I looked at the record last year, you said that your cybersecurity efforts was delayed. What did you consider when you procure your system on redomiciliation of companies? The system is about to complete a scrutiny. Demand from the insurance industry is huge. So I wonder if you will promote the system to headquarters in other countries. Thank you, Ms. Khan, for the questions. I'm just concerned about our expenditure, given the macro environment. Starting from August last year, we formulated our plan and we submitted the plan to the Financial Secretary in December. So the corporate plan was formulated back then, and we've seen changes in the recent few months, and we will continue to review it. IA is less than 10 years old. And over the past decade, we don't have much income because we charge fees progressively according to the mechanism established by the LegCo. So we have not reached our peak level of income, and there's some delay. We have been very prudent with our spending. So if you look at our budget or revised budget, we have been saving money. In 2024-25, our expenditure was $627 million. Now is $569 million. So it shows that we have been very cautious about our spending. You talked about staff costs. I understand your concern, and I know that the civil service are taking a pay freeze, but this estimate was rolled out in October last year, and we have not looked into it with the board. We usually formulate our staff pay trend in March and April every year, but having looked into the relevant adjustment of other companies, we will act accordingly. As for other expenditure on, say, IT expenses, you're right. Our system was established in 1990s. We didn't try not to upgrade it, but there are other things that we have to work on. We have to, say, work with some insurance intermediaries. Now we have time this year to look into our internal systems. Now, on cybersecurity, we have been working on it over the years, and we have looked into our audited report, and we perform better than our peers. We will continue to work on it. On company redomiciliation, I will ask my colleague to elaborate on that.
Now, on redomiciliation, this does not involve huge expenses. Once the bill is passed, a couple of companies are ready to come back. The expenses will be modest. Now, over to the Chief Executive Officer. Now, our establishment or headcount, we have a budget to follow. Every year, we lay on the table the increase in our headcount and what the new posts are for. The headcount went from 352 to 368, and then all the way to more than 370. All of those went through electrical scrutiny. We're moving into new areas. That's why we need more posts, and we have explained why we need those posts. Now, on why the further increase, this comes back to a key point. Now, we have received a total of $550 million from the government. In March, as at March, we still have $550 million. That means we have only spent around $400 million from the seed money. We've been exploring our way. We have to go into new areas. The insurance authority is unique. It has a modest seed money because we have been asked by electrical to find new sources of revenue. Now, we have created new posts for areas like insurance-linked securities and captive insurers. These are new areas of business. We want to bring in new business so that we get more revenue from annual levies. We create new posts so that we can tap into a wider range of sources of revenue. Mr. Ronald Chen. Now, we're looking at two budgets this session. For the previous item, we praised the eMPF for their savings. But here, the paper says the government wants the IA to keep exercising financial discipline, deploying resources prudently, etc. So apparently, the government wants the IA to run a tighter ship. In 2024 to 25, there was an item, engagement of professional services and other operating expenses, but actually a smaller amount was spent. And now for the year to come, we are projecting a larger expense. But that remains lower than the amount last year, so the percentage increase looks large. On hiring professional services, we heard that there will be work on captive insurers and climate change. More publicity is needed. That's why we have a larger projected increase. Does that mean we spent little on that last year so that we have to step up the work next year? Now, as for other operating expenses, staff training, business travels, and corporate events, last year there was a huge estimate, but the actual amount spent was smaller. So where did we spend less? Now, for the year to come, we are also seeing a huge increase. So which part of the other operating expenses is causing the huge increase? So when you prepare future budgets, please bear in mind the perception. When you see a deep dive and then the budget goes up again, people start to question the accuracy of your budget. Insurance Authority. Thank you. Now, the member mentioned we spend way less than the initial projection. That's because we spend prudently. But we want to have the money ready. When something comes up, say there's a legal issue or we have to promote something, we need that money to go ahead with the work. So we start by estimating higher expenses. Those expenses were modest because it costs a lot just to prepare a tender document. So we want to make sure that we have the money ready when we pursue work. Now over to the CEO. The member asked some valid questions, and this is similar to what I said in reply to Ms. Carmen Khan's questions. We have to explore certain areas in our work. Say insurance-linked securities, that's a new area. We issued 6 catastrophe bonds. For these catastrophe bonds issued in Hong Kong, there's trading on the secondary market. Most such bonds were issued in Bermuda. 80% of them were issued in Bermuda. But the market in Bermuda is not very active, so we are exploring collaboration with Bermuda. Say, can we do cross-listing of catastrophe bonds? We have capital and liquidity in Hong Kong's market. So we have to consider the support needed. We don't know how much support we will need, but we try to be measured in our budget. So that's just one example. As Mr. Ronnie Chen knows, we do due diligence, we regulate market players. We have legal proceedings going on with certain insurers. We don't know how complex the proceedings may get, and that's why we have to make allowances in the budget. Now, the chairman has also said this to us. Perception matters. So we have to be more detailed and accurate in our budget. And I can tell Mr. Ronnie Chen that we have worked on that. In future budgets, we will keep the figures close to what we will actually need so that perception will be less of a problem. Mr. Chen Kim-po. Many members have made comments. The IA has been economizing. It's short-staffed. In staff costs, there will be savings of more than $10 million. That's because they're working with a small headcount. So my question is, what will the IA do? I know people at the IA work overtime. You're short-staffed. How do you get more people to join the IA? I know the IA is struggling to hire because of bonus problems, etc. So what's the IA's plan? I thank Mr. Chen for recognizing our work. We care about staff welfare at the IA. The insurance industry is highly competitive. Insurance has been doing fairly well. So we are under immense pressure to secure and retain talent. We have a pay structure, and that brings constraints. So we have to think of other ways. We have to find other ways to boost staff morale, say more training. That is even more important. Mr. Clement Cheng. Mr. Chen Kin-po has been giving us support and urging us to do better. Now, working longer hours isn't necessarily bringing better results. We were invited to consider whether we should be asking so many questions, whether we could streamline our work. Mr. Chen Kin-po also joined us at meetings with insurance. We have to reflect on whether we can streamline the work when our people are working long hours. Other regulators may have said this. We're exploring how technology, especially AI, can help us. Now, we have taken over the regulatory and enforcement investigation work. We did not have this investigation power, but starting from the 1st of June last year, we set up the enforcement division. The work involves market information. So we started exploring the use of AI in our work. AI may be able to help us to reduce needless work, and that may lead to efficiency gains. So first, our staff may be able to work shorter hours, and our staff will be able to do more meaningful work. They will be investigating instead of simply processing data. The job market has been doing better, so our wastage rate went down. In 2022, our wastage rate was more than 20%. Now, last year, we were at 9.7%, but that's just half of where we were before. We want our staff to feel they are doing meaningful work so that they stay. We're also creating new posts, apart from entirely new functions, and that's will also help retain staff. Mr. Rock-Chen. As the chairman was saying, the IA is considering issuing new licenses for insurers to provide insurance covering cross-boundary elderly care. What are the differences, if any, in the requirements of these new licensees for cross-boundary elderly care compared with the traditional licensees? Now, my second question is that the annual fees are not a source of steady revenue. So my question is, are there long-term investment strategies to boost revenue to make up for the fact that you don't get steady income from the annual fees? Now, there are insurers may be trying to be redomiciled in Hong Kong. What's the IA doing to make it easier for those insurers to come back to Hong Kong, meaning they have roots in Hong Kong but they operate overseas? Now, on insurance for elderly care, those insurers have to meet the requirements that apply to other insurers. In licensing decisions, we're not trying to making the insurance industry even more competitive. We don't want even stiffer competition. Involution serves nobody's interest. We want new products through issuing new licenses so that people get better services, especially in elderly care. You take out an elderly care insurance and it will take at least 10 years before you can benefit. So we have to make sure the insurer has the capability to deliver. We have to look at their track record, their experience. So we have to look at what those insurers can do for the people of Hong Kong. Now, on levies, on premium levies, as an unsteady stream of income. So that's premium from insurance policies. The decision to charge premium levies was made more than 10 years ago. Those levies are subject to a cap. We're charging 0.1%, but it's capped at $100 and $5,000 depending on policies. $100 is a small amount. An insurance policy may be over $1 million. But of course, we're not saying we should charge more, but we're saying in the next 2 years, we'll be reviewing the way we charge levies to achieve greater efficiency. There are small insurance policies. If we charge too small an amount, the levy we get will be smaller even than the processing fee. So we have to look at how we charge. We want to make life easier for people. We also want steady income from levies. Now, on investment income, that would be trickier. We have $500 to $600 million left. So we cannot invest more of that. Our hands are tied because of some constraints from the financial secretary. Now, on redomiciliation, we have done much on this. Many insurers are incorporated in Bermuda. There's a reason for that. We don't dig into that. But many such insurers want to come back. So we have to drive forward the legislation on redomiciliation. So we're already working with a few insurers. Once you make the start, it gets easier down the road with first focusing on the larger insurers to achieve greater effect.
We'll draw the line after Mr. M. Wong has spoken. Mr. Wong. Mr. M. Wong, please. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about the investment income, but the authority said that they have a tight cash flow. According to the notes in the paper, it is said that they need a stable cash flow in order to establish a long-term investment goal. I know that their budget is tight. I hope that the authority will be able to formulate long-term investment strategy very soon so that the authority can develop healthily. I think that insurance industry is very important in consolidating our position as an international financial center. Only with more diversified products can we attract investment into Hong Kong. Now, I will leave time for Dr. Sterry to put her questions. No need for a response because the question has been put by Mr. Rock Chan. Next, Dr. Sterry Lee. Chairman, I support the work of the Insurance Authority because the development of the industry is crucial for Hong Kong's development. We have different types of insurance companies. They're very important to us. I hope that they will help us in controlling our risk. And Singapore has been working on developing their insurance industry as well. So apart from regulation, the insurance authority has been helping the industry develop? Can you talk about your work in this regard? Second, staff working on compliance has been shouldering a heavy workload because we have new accounting standards. We have new risk-based legislations. They're having a hard time. We need a risk-based capital regime. We need regulation. Should we be the earliest to adopt new regulation? I think that we should strike a balance. The IA, please. I thank Ms. Dr. Lee for her support. First, on supporting the market. For general policies and long-term policies, as we all know, long-term policies have been very popular, and a lot of mainland residents have been coming to take out these kind of policies in Hong Kong. But we should not cross the red line. As I mentioned, we have been working with the ICAC on tackling some of the issues relating to mis-selling of insurance policies. At the same time, we're going to help the industry insurers when they roll out new products. We've been working with the National Financial Regulatory Administration to see how we can introduce insurance-linked securities into Hong Kong on general policies that account for 10 to 15% of the overall policies that we have. We will roll out catastrophe bonds, and we will work with the Bermuda. And we will also work on redomicilating the captive insurers back to Hong Kong. Some of the local reinsurance companies are not based here. On the point about compliance, you're right. We've been working on updating our work, updating our accounting standards and risk-based capital regime. Some of our staff left because of high pay elsewhere, not because they are not satisfied with the work here. Next, Mr. Tan Kan Chiu. Thank you. Just now, the authority talked about the use of artificial intelligence. The mainland have been using artificial intelligence in the claims management. The entire process are sometimes handled by the artificial intelligence, and only at its end stage would manual handling be involved. How do we ask AI to obtain a license? Are we able to, say, relax the barriers so that the industry can make use of technology more? Thank you. A number of members have asked the same question. The insurance authority has a clear idea about our functions. First, we have to maintain financial stability. Second, we need to make sure that our business is sustainable. Third, we hope that our business offers social value. First, in terms of financial stability, we adopt a capital-based regime. Second, we have been working on dividend sharing policies to make sure that they're sustainable. Third, on social values. When we do business, we must make sure that we contribute to the society. What Mr. Chiu said have to do with these three functions of ours. When we talked about AI, we were talking about how we can first of all, make our work more valuable, more efficient, more streamlined. Mr. Chiu asked how we can allow the industry to use AI to make their work more efficient. That's what we will work on in the coming year. We're going to see how the industry will use AI, and we will see if we can formulate framework for the industry. For claims, for selling, the industry can use AI. We can also use AI to detect scams. The industry mostly invests in AI for the use of frontier selling. Now, in terms of customer experience, claims, the industry has not used AI on these areas. Now, on detection of scams, even less resources are dedicated to it. So in the coming year, we will let the insurance know what areas we want them to dedicate their resources on. And when they invest in AI, we will tell them what outcome we expect of it. We'll look into how they will not focus the use of AI too much on specific areas. That's what we will work on in the coming year. Last, it's my turn. I have a question. I agree that we have to strike a balance between development and regulation. Sometimes overregulation is not a good thing. The most important thing is that we should adopt a risk-based approach in regulating the industry. I have some specific questions on the financial sustainability and stability of the insurance authority. The income of the authority comes from the premiums, $450 million of staff costs divided by the number of full-time staff. It seems that each staff member enjoy $1 million per year in terms of remuneration. But the attrition rate is still not low. For experienced staff, you need to retain them. For younger staff, you should nurture them. I know that you organize a lot of activities, including forum. I'm not asking you to charge for advertisement, but perhaps you should recover the cost that you incurred in organizing these forums. Say, charging people for the training that you offer. You need money for your activities. Thank you. First, on staff costs. The average staff receive $1 million per year. We have over 300 staff members. Most of them are professionals. In recent years, we initiated a lot of different enforcement actions. You ask if we should hire more young people. Well, we have recruited trainees from universities and retained them. The problem is, as I've mentioned, we don't have a lot of staff that worked more than 5 years with us. For young people, they don't stay in a firm for more than 3 years. We have to be cautious. We'll try to recruit talents from different channels. When I meet with new recruits, I told them that I would be glad if they are able to stay with us for more than 5 years. And I would be equally happy even if they leave us to go for other insurers because they have worked with us and they would be able to bring their experience to the other insurers. We organize forums with the industry. We invited a lot of participants from different sectors. We offer lunches to them. So the cost of organizing these forums are high. But as we are a regulator, we have to be cautious when we plan to charge participants fees. We very seldom offer direct training. We are an independent authority. We need to be cautious.
保監局今日嘅
Thank you. We thank the IA for briefing us on the budget. Now, item 5, any other business? No other business. I adjourn the meeting. Thank you.